I know what you're thinking, Ryan, seriously? Shaun the Sheep, out of all the movies you can see, you can go see that limited release of Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Okay, so Shaun the Sheep Movie. So Shaun the Sheep Movie follows the story of Shaun the Sheep, where Shaun and his sheep friends are working their everyday lives at their farm, but it gets to the point where they feel like it's the same stuff, but different day. This gives Shaun the idea where it's like, hey, let's all take the day off, so they come up with this plan where they make that idea come to life. Everything was just going their way until it gets to the point where they lose their farmer in the process as he gets lost in the big city. Now, making their way into a society they aren't familiar with and a villain chasing them, Shaun and his friends have to find their farmer before they lose him for good. Now, Shaun the Sheep comes from what I believe the animated shorts from Wallace and Gromit. I've seen a couple of them, but I don't thoroughly remember them. But they come from Aardman Animation Studios, which I absolutely adore their stop-motion claymation style. It's easily one of the most creative animations in my opinion. But just something about this movie wasn't bringing me in. I feel super judgmental because of a movie titled Shaun the Sheep Movie. It just wasn't appealing to me. But after walking out of this movie, not only did I have a ton of fun with it, but it's easily one of my favorite animations of the year so far. Since Shaun the Sheep was already a stop-motion animation to begin with, Aardman tackles that style once again, and it is nothing but flawless. It takes a creative genius to really take the time to create a world from scratch, but seeing how Aardman handles the movie visually, it makes you appreciate the technique behind stop-motion films. Even the little things in the movie, you can tell that the team really put their heart and soul into the world of Shaun the Sheep. Something as simple as a trailer driving over a puddle of water, something that has no relation to the story, you can still see that effort put into it, and it looks really cool. Anybody who wants to go into animations, Aardman is one of those people you should look into, since you can just feel that love pouring out of the movie. But let's face it, the real star of this movie is how it's able to tell a full-fledged story without any use of dialogue or any real words spoken. And if you say grunts and moans and blah 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 is dialogue, then I got nothing for you, because it really isn't. Seriously, all they speak is gibberish language, but somehow you're able to pick out every single thing they were saying just through their body language. There was a ton of it in this movie, through body language and facial expressions. There was really no words needed for any of the characters, yet this animation shows they can pull off that silent film style. The reason why I say it takes on that silent film approach is through the soundtrack in this movie, and that fits every single tone it has to offer. The soundtrack also helps with what the characters are trying to say or how they're feeling, as it kind of takes you on this journey with these animals. If a character is sad, the soundtrack helps. If a character is ecstatic, you can feel that also. All I can say is the soundtrack is beautiful. Not to mention how simple the story was too. Sheep going to the big city to try to find their farmer. Simplicity was everywhere in this movie. And that's kind of what the animation genre needs, because sometimes I like to take this over-the-top, fully detailed place, but sometimes it becomes too much. That is not the case with Shaun the Sheep, where you see it's totally simple, straight up, and that is one of the biggest compliments I can give to the movie. Plus, the movie was actually funny, because there's this whole segment where they go to this prison-like area, and I cracked up because they made references to Silence of the Lambs and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Not this scene in particular, but that was also in the prison scene, and it was actually funny also. The only complaint I really have with the movie is that at times it does slow down and it gets a tad bit long. It can be like 10-15 minutes shorter than what it actually has to be, but like I said, it's not a huge issue with the film, because everything else thrown in the mix, like I mentioned, is the reason why this movie deserves a watch. Because in the end, Shaun the Sheep was an unexpectedly great animation with a simple story, great soundtrack. The characters were good, you rooted for the animals to find their farmer, but it's the style and the technique of this animation and the use of no dialogue is the reason why this animation is, dare I say, beautiful. Because I say if you want to see Shaun the Sheep, it is definitely worth the full admission. Aw, it made me bashful. Ha, get it? Okay, I'll stop now. So have you seen Shaun the Sheep, and what did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below. And as always, there's a link for my Twitter and my Facebook below as well. Keep in contact with me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, but in the meantime, I have to get going. I am horrible at these endings, I'm gonna stop now.